Hello, everyone. I'm Serena Fazan, and you are watching On the Record. On this episode, a journey of strength, hope, and unstoppable resilience in the fight of stopping domestic violence. Please welcome back to the studio Tiffiny Newton, the founder of Ignite Her, and we also welcome Adrienne Tillotson, who is, I call you an empowerment advocate, a survivor.
Thank you.
Thank you, Adrienne, so much for being here.
Absolutely.
So share with me, now you are, you're volunteering, right, for Ignite Her. But how the two of you came together and you started sharing with Tiffiny your stories.
Yes, absolutely. We were really just standing in her kitchen and we were just kind of going over some things we've been through in our past and realized we had some things in common that were pretty major in this department. So she told me about what she was doing with Ignite Her, and I had always been feeling that I needed to give back through my experiences that I've been through. So it was like perfect. I just thought, you know, this is going to be a great match, and what can I do to help and volunteer and give back with my experiences to be able to help other women.
And isn't it something, just speaking out, I think, and thank you both again for sharing your story.
Absolutely.
You're an interior designer by trade.
Yes.
And you, life insurance, was it life insurance? Yes. But isn't it something, Tiffiny, when you shared in the first segment, you know, you were at a networking event, you meet the gentleman who's helping people start philanthropic endeavors.
Yep.
And then you meet Adrienne, who's your interior designer. So can you just share on how important it is that you never know who walks into your life?
Absolutely. And you just talking authentically about yourself and who you are as a person and how you got there, I think opens up a lot of doors. Whether it is sharing a personal story, like, you know, how she and I bonded at a whole different level than just me hiring her to help me with my house. It really allows women to feel safe that they know someone else has been in that same position. And that, I think, is the most important thing, is providing a safe space where people can share their story. They can be anonymous. They can call and have a one-on-one conversation, whatever that looks like. However they need to spill the beans, right, is to tell the tea.
But you know what is incredible, right? So talking about, with interior design, we'll use that. Talking about, you know, your favorite colors, your patterns, but then to open up about some of the most private things that have happened in your life. And honestly, sometimes you don't even, it's so dark that sometimes your mind doesn't even want to go there. How did you do it? Like, was it just, how did you open up?
I think the pride that I have now for overcoming what I have, some of my stories are pretty horrific, like Tiffany's, and coming out of it and being a survivor and being so strong now and so steadfast with not allowing it to never happen to me again, all of that plays a part in you know, getting to that point of the conversation, you know?
Yes.
Absolutely.
But opening up in your kitchen, was it the kindness in her eyes?
Oh, absolutely.
What was it?
Well, you know, as women, we just, you know who you connect with, and, you know, who you don't sometimes. And if you get that feeling, and usually it can just be one sentence of, yeah, my ex was really awful to me. And then my ex was awful to me as well. And what happened to your situation? Well, this happened to me as well. And then when the stories start flowing, it's really sad but empowering.
Right, right. Do you mind, and we would, you know, this show's unedited, unscripted. So do you mind sharing one of your?
No, I don't mind sharing. Probably one of the most horrific experiences with one of my exes. You know, like she had said, one of the problems is you go in, and if you don't have enough self-love, it's easier to ignore the red flags, right? And when you ignore the red flags, you know, you get all caught up in what you think it's going to be, this fairy tale. And then it ends up not being that. And you're ignoring the signs, but you're starting to see that things are just really going in a bad direction.
Right.
And the first thing that had happened, I guess, in that situation was we were standing in my apartment, and I said something that wasn't even that outrageous or anything, and he just came up and slammed me against the wall and started to strangle me.
Oh my gosh.
Got out of that, and then through the next, you know, duration of the relationship, it got worse. He had kidnapped me and held me hostage in my apartment and repeatedly beat me through those 24 hours. And when I tried to leave, he took my keys, my phone, my clothes, everything he could to control the situation so I couldn't leave. You know, it was very, very difficult.
So let me ask you both this, because in my career in traditional journalism, we did a lot, you know, with domestic violence awareness, survivors. How did you report it, though, to law enforcement? Or because a lot of times, you know, I would literally walk with the woman into the police department or into the sheriff's office, but they just couldn't follow.
Yeah.
They couldn't follow through. Did you?
I had that experience when that one particular instance happened, when he did all that and kept me held hostage and beat me and everything. My mother came over the next day, and we did call a police officer over to the apartment, and we did file a report, but I was steadfast on saying, I don't want him to get in trouble. I don't want him to go to jail, because I cared more about him than I did myself.
And you hear that story over and over again. So Tiffiny, as the founder of Ignite Her, share your message to women or men out there on encouraging them to not just leaving, but following through on every aspect that they can.
Absolutely. The first thing you should do is file a report, because what if it escalates to where you're no longer alive? You have that on the record, right? If it goes the opposite way, where you're fighting back and he's no longer alive because he pushed you over the edge to attack, it's on the record, that the history of everything. So documenting everything is so important. We do have that thing of, well, I don't want to cause a problem with his job. And they're not thinking that. We're trying to protect the abuser. Don't do that.
Yep.
They've made the choice to do that. File the report, call the cops. The cops are looking for evidence. Some of that evidence, especially physical, may not show up when they're there, but it may show up 24, 48, 72 hours later, like strangulation. Some of those bruises don't show up. Some of them show up behind here, which would never show up here. They show up behind the ear.
Right.
And that doesn't show up right away. So you need, if those bruises show up, call and update the report, because then you have that ready if anything, God forbid, were to happen.
I have to say, you know, I feel that we have, especially in this community, our show goes globally, you know, thankfully, but law enforcement really is on your side. And they have so many different programs to help. Julie Weintraub, who's a dear...
I work
really well. Julie is so wonderful. I'd like to give her a shout out with Hands Across the Bay. Yep. She's one of the sponsors here, too, at RHS TV. And everything she's done, you know, to help fight domestic violence. But we can all come together. I think that, and now with Ignite Her, I think we just need to come together and speak.
Yep, absolutely.
And law enforcement, the things are changing now, especially with the passing of the Gabby Petito law. Certain questions have to be asked now. To determine the severity of the situation, because the cops let them go, and that's how she ended up dead. It escalated really quickly.
For people who may not know that law, as we close out the segment, will you share a little bit more about the Gabby Petito law?
Absolutely. So the construct behind it is a series of questions, and if anything is answered yes, a specific advocate is called to help and be immediately available. If someone says, you know, if they were strangled or where were their hands on you? Well, if they just say just over my mouth, the police should be asking, what does that look like to you? Just over the mouth could be strangle and this, right? But they're only reporting this part of it. So knowing exactly what that looks like could escalate that to a person, you know. Men always strangle females. Females typically strangle children. So that is statistically proven. So the women can be separated so nothing does escalate, and get help immediately. So
isn't it something? I mean, I know, but the bottom line is there is help out there.
Yes.
There's definitely help out there.
A lot more than it used to be.
Yes, so much more. And I'm very excited actually for us to welcome the guest you recommended, Tiffiny, on self-defense and how women can protect themselves. Absolutely. And the things that we can do. So stay with us, everybody. We're back right after this.